It's just so obvious.
At the time of recording this, Tucker Carlson is in the news. Former Fox TV anchor who was let go by the network. I wanted to take a look at why he is such an effective communicator. What is it that this man does that has engaged so many people? Have a look at this clip and we'll take a little analysis of it afterwards.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Say what you will about elected Democrats, but they know where the power is. They're like truffle pigs for power. No matter how thick the forest is, they will find it. Here's one example. In his very first hours in office, literally on Inauguration Day, Joe Biden named a new head of the criminal division at the Justice Department. Now, Biden spent that same day, you will remember, lecturing the rest of us about equity, meaning that straight white men are bad. And yet, strangely, the person he chose for this job was not a member of a racial or sexual minority. He was instead a highly privileged, straight white guy. He was called Nick McQuaid.
Okay, so I've got some notes on this. I'm going to refer back if you see me looking down. First of all, he says, "Good evening." He's welcoming his audience in. It's me. I'm familiar to you. Let's go. He hooks his audience then. In radio, we're always talking about hooking your audience, giving them something to aim towards. And you start off right now with the hook. His hook is, say what you will, but they know where the power is. Say what you will, but you know they know where the power is. So he's setting up something. He's got an agenda here and he's about to kick you with it. He uses some great adjectives. I mean, he calls the people he's talking about that he's against truffle pigs. And he goes, oink, oink, it is the oink, oink nose, for crying out loud. His pace and his tone change as well. He gets quite animated. And then he looks at like that. He's talking like that. He's, oh, what's going on here? He does that quite a lot. His pace, his tone, his delivery change. The hands like these are moving. His body is quite rigid, but the hands are moving quite a lot. You'll notice his eyes are constantly looking. Yeah, okay, he's reading. I get that. But there's a certain stare, an intensity to his stare that you have to look at him. He keeps that engagement with you all the way through. Hardly ever blinks, if you notice that. He uses the you word. He talks about you. You will remember, he says. You'll remember. You remember this, right? Right? You and me, we're together. You remember this. And then he joins with his audience by saying, the rest of us. So we'll talk about these guys do this, but the rest of us know different. So we're all in this together. So I'm one of you guys. I'm one of you. That makes him a great communicator. He then adds to his agenda at the end of the kicker. And it's that whole feeling of you and me. We've got this figured out. These guys, they don't know what's going on. Let's take another clip.
And in fact, it wasn't that long ago that the Biden Justice Department, do you remember this? Indicted Donald Trump's 75-year-old accountant because he failed to declare the full value of his work vehicle. I think he was in handcuffs. But somehow these same enforcers of the law cannot be bothered to bring the Hunter Biden investigation to fruition. Not when they have a laptop proving that he took millions from the government of China. How does that work exactly? Did he pay every dollar in federal taxes?
There you go again. He's used the you word. He says, do you remember? He's done it again. Do you remember this? Do you remember this? That's something he keeps harking back on. You and me, remember the story? We were talking about it before. It's like bringing someone back to an older conversation that you had. Do you remember I was talking about the football game? Yeah, because we both like football. So do you remember is a big one. And he emphasizes certain words for to stress and bring home a point. He does the ones that I got here. 75-year-old accountant. He says that with actual indignation. A 75-year-old accountant. I mean, come on. What are we dealing with here? Are these people savages? Again, bringing you on his side and reeling you in and speaking to your base beliefs. His audience all believe what he's saying and they like what he's saying and they eat it up. Like truffle pigs, I suppose. But they eat it all up. He's angry. There's angry apathy more than anything. He's like, aren't you sick of this? I'm sick of this. Aren't you sick of this? Again, feeding into the emotions. You know exactly where he stands. And either you're with what he stands for or you're against what he stands for. But you know exactly where to lay your flag because he's laying it out flat. This is what I believe in. Like it or don't like it. Now that's him in the studio. I wonder what he's like in front of a live audience.
I'm not calling for a religious war, far from it. I'm merely calling for an acknowledgement of what we're watching. which is not one, and I'm certainly not backing the Republican Party. I mean, ugh. I'm not making a partisan point at all. I'm just noting what's super obvious. Like, those of us who are in our mid-50s are caught in the past in the way that we think about this. One side's like, no, I've got this idea, and we've got this idea, and let's have a debate about our ideas. They don't want a debate. Those ideas won't produce outcomes that any rational person would want under any circumstances. Those are manifestations of some larger force acting upon us. It's just so obvious. It's completely obvious.
So it's the same Tucker, the voice going up and down a little bit, and the hands and the whole thing, but it's more animated, right? He's in front of a live audience now, so he's reacting to their response. In the studio, it's a bit more sterile, so he's full control. Here, he's controlling what he's saying, like you do in front of a crowd, but you're feeding off their energy, and you can see it in his face. He smiles more, he's moving around a lot more, the body's more animated. He's not like this in the studio where it's just the hands moving. The body's moving with him as he goes. The eyes are looking around the room as well. He's doing a lot more of that. The stare has kind of gone. He connects with his audience, those of us in our mid-50s, he says. In other words, this is my audience, this is who I'm talking to. Men and women like me in their mid-50s who believe what I believe. And if you're in that crowd, you're one of those already, chances are, because you've gone to see Tucker Carlson talking. He uses they, as in the other people, the ones that don't get us, the ones that we're against, the ones that just, haven't got anything going on that we believe in. They, and then he says us. They believe this, but for us, it's different. So he's basically getting his little tribe together, isn't he? He's basically solidifying the core by using his words. And he's coming across as a leader, but a leader through suggestion rather than a leader through dictate. He says any rational person will know this. In other words, we're the rational people. You guys, you're rational. That's why I like you. You're the same as me. We're the good guys. We're the good guys here. Tucker Carlson is an incredible communicator, whether you like him or not. A bit like the Andrew Tate side again. Believe him or believe him not, they're great communicators at getting their points across. Word is he may go for public office, he may run for presidency. As of recording this, that's still up in the air. We'll see where that one leads to. That'll be very interesting. I'm Nails Mahoney, Communication Coach. Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to hit subscribe, I would so appreciate that. That'd be amazing of you. And I'll see you the next time round. All right, cheers.